Hello everyone, for Channel 6 TV Community Focus, I'm Dennis George, and a lot of people, when they hit age 62, they want to retire. Some people wait to 66 and they decide to retire. Well, we're joined today by a lady who didn't wait or didn't stop in her 60s to retire. She worked into her 80s and worked for over 62 years. And Miss Aileen Browning, thanks for coming up and joining us today. Yeah.
Yes, it's very nice to be here. Thank you for having me.
Well, you were saying that this attention you're getting because of putting in all those years, that all I did was get up and go to work every day, but that's not not the way it happens anymore.
I know, but it's just awesome. I mean, all to me, and awesome that, that I'm very honored like this, because I feel like that I really didn't do anything.
Well, I guess, I know that, growing up, obviously somebody instilled a work ethic in you of what you were supposed to do.
Yes, my dear mother, she was single parent of 6 of us kids, and because my father passed away when we were fairly young, and so she worked all of her life at the sewing factory, and she was ready to retire at 62.
That was tough work though back then, wasn't it?
Yes, it really was, yes. So that's one of the things I got from Mom, that hard work's not going to hurt you, and it really doesn't.
All right, so through the years, let's start, and I guess my generation, which would remember Hagen O'Daniel Pharmacy, which is, you started with a pharmacy, but you said it was not Hagen O'Daniel when you started. And how old were you, just out of school? Or?
I was just out of school, yes. I just graduated from St. Augustine's High School, and that May, and whenever September came, I wasn't going to college. I always wanted to be a nurse, but back then, you didn't have opportunities that we have, young people have today, especially, if you're like, your parent is single and trying to get along as best you can. And so I didn't have an opportunity to fill my education like that. So I needed to work, and so I knew that there was an opening there, and I went there, and of course I was hired on the spot, and I worked there until Mr. Hagen, I worked there a long time. I did I worked in the up front at the fountain, and that was really interesting, because we had cherry coats that were 5 cents at that time, and ice cream cones that were 5 cents. You could get a milkshake for 25 cents. And the day that I started to work in there, it was when school opened that week, and they had all this humongous sale, and you could get like milkshakes for 10 cents. And my gosh, after that, I thought I would never like a milkshake again.
All right, let's talk about that, because obviously things have evolved, and we're not going to count back to what year that was that you started, because we're not going to tell your age. But back then, the fountains at a place like Hagen O'Daniel was kind of the meeting place for kids after school. So the drugstores are not today what they used to be.
No, they are not. I mean, oh my gosh, what a difference. None of them, they don't have fountains. There's not a meeting place there. Of course, at Pat's Pharmacy, we had a little area over there that you could sit and have coffee in the mornings, and some guys, like older men, would come in and visit there, but you could sit there while you're waiting for your medications. But nowadays, most people don't want to wait for their medicines. They drop it off at the window or phone it in. And so, you don't have to have all that.
All right, so you were working with Mr. Hagen, and
yes.
Then Gerald O'Daniel came in, so that's where it became Hagen O'Daniel?
That's right. I worked for him until he passed away. And so whenever he passed away, I was working with Pat also. So I have worked with Pat for 45 years plus there, and when I followed him where he is at Pat's Pharmacy. And so therefore, when I went, when he said, I'm getting ready to open my own pharmacy, will you come with me? And I said, I sure will. And so that's what happened.
Probably in a lot of ways, I guess you've been probably like a second mother to Pat, almost raised him for 40. He's not that old, but
no, but oh my gosh, he does feel like my child or my son. I mean, he's such a wonderful man, and I just sort of, grew to really care for all those people that I worked with too. And of course now I work with Joe Kelly, and he's really young and really nice, and I feel like I really am his mother.
All right, but obviously whether it was people coming to the fountain there or people coming in and needing, and I guess back in the day some of the pharmacies were open on Sunday.
Yes, I worked every Sunday at Hagen O'Daniel and Hagen's, every Sunday, even after I married in 1957.
Now, was there a time that then they kind of started alternating Hagen and Southalls, Hagen O'Daniel, Southalls?
Yes, that's right. There was a time whenever they changed about on Sundays. Yes.
So you kind of got a few Sundays off after that, huh?
Yes, I did. Yes.
All right. Let's talk about. I mean, obviously, through 62 plus years, you've come into contact with a lot of people, whether through the fountain or the other. That has to be one of the joys of the job.
Oh my gosh, it certainly is. I have met so many beautiful, wonderful people, and you just can't imagine how it is to know all these people that I've met, and through the years. And they showed it whenever this week I started Monday. It started Monday, and my gosh, I got all these everything imaginable from different people, and people would come in and to say goodbye and wish me luck, and had cards, and just it's all, I'm all in awe about all that, because I just don't feel like that I'm very deserving.
All right, but you were more than a clerk in the store. You were their friends, and they weren't just customers to you; they were your friends. But that's what happens when you've been there and you've seen people for so many years.
That's
Is
right.
that would that be?
I would think so. Yes. Yes. And I want to add too, also back to to Hagen's. I started out earning 50 cents an hour, and I really thought I was rich.
Well, I hope Pat was doing better at the end than 50 cents an hour.
I would think so. Yes.
Okay, but during that time, you mentioned before you got married, and you've been married to Ed for I think 50.
It'll be 59 years if we both live until August the 6th.
Well, and I'm sure there are a lot of people wondering how you put up with Ed, and I say that good-naturedly over the years. But I mean, during that time, you've raised, was it 3 children?
I've raised 3 children, yes.
And
Jennifer, Brian, and Jill, and I have 4 wonderful grandchildren: Murphy, Dylan, Paige, and Nicole.
Okay, all right. But during that, I mean, you're working and you still had your house chores, and this was back at a time when a lot of women were able to stay at home, because back in those days a lot of times just the father was the only one working. I'm sure you wore yourself out sitting on bleachers at ball games and all those things in the past, but you were able to put all that together.
Yes, I was, yes. I waited on those women at the fountain at Hagen's whenever they didn't work. They would come in, and at that time everybody smoked, and they would have their cigarettes and their little cherry coke and coffee. So, anyway, that's what happened then.
All right, but Ed would drag you, I know you enjoyed the sports, but he was always around the baseball and softball diamonds for years.
That's all I know is sports, I tell you. My grandchildren were in sports, all of them. My children were all in sports, and that's all we know at our place. He umpired, and he ran the park over Springfield for a long time.
All right, so you were working part-time for a little while. So you were at the house, but I guess now you are completely retired.
Yes, as of today is my first day that I should be retired.
So what, on your first day, has it been any different, or are you looking to start filling up your calendar every day with something to do?
Well, I sure hope I can, but the day has been so busy that I haven't really had time to sit down and think about it, and I'm still in awe of all the things that have happened last week to me, and riding in a limousine all day long with my family, and just everything imaginable was awesome, and I just really appreciate all the things that they did for me.
All right, but I guess when you think about it, kids move from job to job to job to job, and to stay in the same industry, and basically because Pat became part of Hagen O'Daniel working there, and when he started his own pharmacy, you were with the same company for 60 plus years, that's something that we don't see anymore. That kind of loyalty from the employer to the employee and the employee to the employer as well. So I mean that's something we don't see very often anymore.
That's true. That's very true. Yes. Yes. Everybody's looking for a better job.
Better job, instant gratification, and things
yes.
like that.
Right.
But we've talked about Pat, and we talked a little bit about Mr. Hagan, but the people with whom you worked, and I'm sure you've helped raise a few generations of young kids who got their first job at one of the pharmacies, and you kind of have raised those kids and become a second mother to them as well.
I did. In fact, I used to push Mr. Hagan's grandkids around, and then I pushed Gerald O'Daniel's children around in their little buggies while they were down visiting, and so forth and so on. So yes, I mean I've taught and worked with a many person, young people, older people, and they all have been just wonderful. And talking about the young people today, I mean, really and truly, I think Marion County is very blessed to have such nice young people. There are so many of them out there trying to get their education, and we are blessed at Pat's Pharmacies to have nice young people to work with too.
Mm-hmm. Well, I guess you remember the thing I always remember about Hagan's is Charles Smith.
Oh my God.
On his little motorbike or whatever.
Yes, he was awesome. I really just loved and cared for Charles so much. Yes.
But even back then, and I guess even at Pat's today and some of the other pharmacies, you guys still deliver, which is still that hometown type of atmosphere that you can create.
Yes, it is. It's nothing like a hometown pharmacy, I'm going to tell you.
Yeah. Well, I was in there one day to pick up some stuff, and I see Glenn Russell, and I'm thinking, we got talking, and Glenn,
yes.
You were here last time I was here. And then I realized, wait a minute, he's driving a car and delivering, I guess, for you. Glenn and I went to school together. I thought that was kind of neat. That
was.
It was that one extra thing that I guess, he's retired, and that was something for him to do.
Yeah, to make change, do for him, yes, so he can have his time filled.
Yeah. All right, what are your plans?
Well,
what do you want to do? I guess you said you don't like to garden, you don't like to do some of that stuff.
I don't like the housework, I don't like to garden, I don't like to do anything in the yard. But I really do like to go out and eat with my family and friends, and I like to go to Derby Dinner Playhouse. I like to go to the arts in Louisville, and then we have a wonderful arts area here in Marion County that they have right over there next door, and I love to go to see all those plays, which I think are awesome.
So all right, so Derby Dinner Playhouse, I guess sometime you've worked all week, and maybe to go on a weekend or during the week, you probably, it could wear you down a little bit, so now you're going to have plenty of time to do all of those things as well.
That's right. My family are, they're very fortunate. They help me do all those things, yes.
All right, I think there's one other thing you enjoy doing when you go out and have dinner, is that right?
Yes.
What was that?
Oh.
I read something. You go ahead and say that.
I like margaritas, but I only drink one once a week.
Oh, okay. So,
or whenever.
But I'll tell you what, if you see Miss Browning at a restaurant and she doesn't have a margarita in front of her, for her 62 plus years of service to the people working at Hagan Pharmacy, Hagan O'Daniel Pharmacy, and Pat's Pharmacy, buy her a free drink. You'd accept that probably, wouldn't you?
Probably would, but I'd have to take it later because I only drink like maybe a half one or one.
All right, well, maybe you have some of your kids or grandkids, they'll help you drink some of that. How's that?
Maybe so.
All right, we appreciate you taking time, and best thing we can say is that our congratulations to the many that you've received.
And I want to say thank you to Pat's Pharmacy and all the employees, him and Joe, and all the employees that I've worked with all these years. Thank you so much for all you've done for me. I really do appreciate it.
Okay. For Channel 6 TV Community Focus, I'm Dennis George.